The other type of non-probability sampling technique is snowball sampling technique. Our discussion is divided into what is snowball sampling, when and why this sampling technique is applied or used, what are its types and how are they applied, and in the end we will have conclusion. What is snowball sampling? This sampling is one type of non-probability sampling technique or method. It means the samples are taken or selected from the population without randomization, so they don't have equal chance to be selected as the sample when they are taken from a population. And this is the main point of this sampling. Research participants recruit other participants for a test or study. It means the samples, you don't take them by yourself. Instead of, the samples are obtained from the first, the second, and the third, and so on, until you think that the data is enough to answer your research question. That is snowball sampling. This will be very clear when we talk its types. Now the question, when or why this sampling technique is applied. The first reason this sampling technique is applied is when there is no pre-calculated list of target population details. So there is no clear of who will be the sample of a research. And if this is your research sampling technique, then it means your research is about, in other words, I can say that the source of your research can be from the victims of rare diseases, hate crime, rape or sexual abuse victims, sexuality, etc. Or it can be from the member of secret organizations. I do believe you have ever watched in a TV in which people or persons were interviewed but their face are blurred. So this is one of the type of that sampling. For example, you are a victim. This is an example. You are a victim of something, and then you don't want to be known or to be identified. Therefore, you use this sampling technique, snowball. What are its types and how they are applied? There are three types of this sampling technique. The first one is linear snowball sampling, as you can see in the image. The sample one, the first sample gets the second sample, and the second sample lead you or give you the information about the third sample, and so on until you get the data and you think that it is enough to answer your research question. That is the first type of this research, this sampling technique. And the second technique of this sampling is exponential non-discriminative snowball, as you can see in the image. So the first person, that is your first sample. Then from this first person you get the other samples, and from the other samples you get more samples, more and more, until you think that the information is enough to answer your research question. Exponential non-discriminative snowball. And the third type of the sampling is exponential discriminative snowball sampling. As you can see in the image, from the first sample, we get two other samples. But from these two samples, as you can see in sample 2, you only choose one. So let's say from the first sample, he or she gives you information about more samples, 5 samples for example. But from those 5 samples, which is qualified to give you the information in answering your research question, you only choose one. That is discriminative. As you can see, the name, okay, give you a clear definition. Discriminative. So it means, okay, you only choose one from some. Now this is the conclusion. Okay, snowball sampling technique is research participants recruit other participants. So you as the researchers, okay, you don't directly decide your samples. Instead of, the first sample leads you to get the other samples, and so on until you get enough information or data to answer your research question. The way or the reason a researcher chooses the sampling technique is when the sample, okay, or the people may not want to be found or known. Okay? Just for example, okay, you are a victim of something and you don't want to be known or identified. Okay? So this sampling technique will be very beneficial and helpful. Okay? If that is your case of your research. The types of this sampling technique, you have 2 types: linear, exponential non-discriminative, and exponential discriminative sampling. Linear, the first lead you to the second sample, third, and so on. Okay. Exponential non-discriminative, okay, the first sample give you, for example, more than 1 samples, and then you directly include them as the sample of your research. While exponential discriminative, okay, from some people or persons given by the sample, you don't include them all, but just choose one from them. That is exponential discriminative. Okay, I do believe our discussion is beneficial for you, and see you in my other English learning videos. Bye bye.